Right. It's a pleasure today to share with you on some of the AI capabilities for an AI powered system on how this can provide transformation to our clinical research. So I come from AlphaLife Sciences, and then my background is all in the CRO industry. And then now I'm sharing all these aspects to you as an end user's part. Right, so in the clinical trial life cycle, we understand like from the very beginning, there's going to be the competitive regulatory landscape, the patient recruitment, the complexity, and the study design. And then once the data has been collected, there's going to be analysis, data monitoring, as well. Imagine the volume of the documents to generate. So all of these diverse deliverables, they come from various multiple systems in a complicated ecosystem. So our SMEs have to spend a lot of time to generate documents, analysis the data, and then finally to deliver the aspect or the task at their desk. So imagine with the generative AI, a unified platform, how from the start of the clinical trial all the way to the study closeout, the data part, the documents parts, how we can utilize the Gen AI to drive the efficiency, reduce cost, and at the same time ensuring quality. All right, so in the following session, I'm going to be breaking into two parts. The very first one is on the medical writing for the protocol development and etc. And then the second part is going to be more on the data management aspect. Right, so we're going to start with the CSR example here. So me as a medical writer, we understand in the previous session there's going to be a lot of efforts put in, starting with the template customization, the framework setup of reusing the protocol or the SAP content, and then also within the template itself, we need to save the placeholder to insert the TFLs and then start with this draft content. And once the DBL is in place, our writers, we need to add in the data to manually generate the summary. And then let's say if we're putting into a regional studies, then translation may be involved. So in the following demo, I'll share with you on how this process can be powered by the Gen AI, facilitate the whole procedure, and then based on our current users' feedback, it has significantly reduced the time required and also bring in the quality. All right, so what you're going to be seeing is basically a Word add-in, and then a lot of features are built in this. I'm just going to highlight some of the few. Right, so let's take for a CSR template as an example. As a medical writer, so within this, basically, in addition to the Word add-in, is an AI-powered engine in the background. So with the authorized study personnel, once they access, the very first thing is I want to upload the TFLs. Right, so they can do that on their PC, upload to access control platform, and then in the system, authorized users, they can do a preview directly. And then once this is done, we want to add in the placeholder for the template. So they can immediately do that very efficiently without all the hassles of the formatting. Right, and then once that's in, it's time to generate the summaries. We can have the user add an example, custom prompts, plus have the AI read these information, digest the SOA, or sorry, not the SOA, digest the TFL table, and then generate the summary accordingly. So all this part is within a global study. And let's say if we're a regional medical writer, we can involve the translation directly in the platform. Okay, now the other example is on the development of protocol synopsis and the protocol document itself. So in an AI-powered platform, we have a complex engine to intake the public available information, as well based on the enterprise level requirements. We can also take the company level knowledge, and then we use the AI to scrub the data, categorize the data, and then put it in the knowledge database. So what that does basically is allow our users to, when they're developing their synopsis or the protocol, they can intake the information, help to generate the content, as well do a lot of referencing. Right, so all this process, what you're going to be seeing is basically helping our end users to have a knowledge access streamlined, plus use the AI insights, and then further to automate generation of the contents. Right, so now we're putting ourselves as a medical writer in the process of developing the synopsis. We can archive as many templates as you wish. Now we're going to take the heart failure TA. Right, so now I'm the writer here, and then I want to generate the synopsis based on a phase 2 study. So I probably have some foundation information already, and then now what I want to do is, do I need to add in additional criteria, let's say for age? So in our knowledge database, we have scrubbed the external references, built in the internal information, and now we can see maybe I want to put a cap to the age instead. Right, so now this is helping our medical users to really drill down on the information they required, and then once they click, we just lead them to the public source available. Right, and then all these they can review and then generate the information as needed. And then subsequently, maybe we want to look in a more holistic aspect. So we can utilize the database, structure the information, and split by either countries or by sponsors, as well like in terms of the SAE. So all of these can be put in the category accordingly. And for instance, right now the heart failure, maybe I want to look for the past 10 years data. And I want to understand within the past 10 years, what is the SAE that happened most frequently? Do I need to consider it to be added to my protocol synopsis? So with that, we can direct the content to the external or the internal information database and allow our user to really have a thorough review as what's out there, what's not, and then subsequently to help them generate the information. Right, so this is where we're utilizing the AI to help on this aspect. And once all this is done, our user can download the draft synopsis directly from the platform. Right, and then this can circulate for review or continuously use our word add-in features to build the information. And then with this synopsis available, the next step would be to generate the protocol itself. So all you're seeing right now is used by our end users. And then so now the second step right here is basically generate the shell of the protocol, also in the word add-in format. Sorry, let me go back. Okay, so now we have the shell of the protocol, and what we like to do now is basically work on the protocol document itself, right? So again, you're going to be seeing it in the Word add-in, and me as a medical writer, I need to start to work on the finalized protocol content. Okay, so this template we can configure, update along with our users. So the scenario here is we have finalized synopsis, we upload to the system, and what the system doing now is basically intake the information from the synopsis, as well the example provided by our user, injected into different chapters, different sections, and then auto-populate all the information accordingly. So this is not randomly generated, it's based on your synopsis, as well the information you inject to the template, and then with the AI edit component. And now coming to the abbreviations, in our platform, we have over 3,000 abbreviations. So what you're seeing now basically in the system is having the system to scan from page 1 all the way to the end of the page, and then checking the terms that may be abbreviation. And then we will mark them, put it in a table, and then allow our medical writers to thoroughly review and then see what should be kept, what should be not. The last example here is basically a schedule of assessment. Very similarly, we use the AI to read the SOA information, but at the same time, we can have our users to provide the example for the AI, serving as a backbone to absorb that example, read the SOA information, and within a click, they can generate the study schedule description. And then moving from there, our end user basically can just customize and update accordingly with the features they're familiar in the Word, plus our add-in specific contents and then functions. Right, and then to echo on the previous session on the safety narrative, is apparently that is going to be a very time-consuming process. And then how we have realized it in AlphaLife Sciences, basically a one-time work is indeed required. It's not going to be a one-click and then we get everything. No. So what we need from our end users basically work with us closely to generate the narrative template. And subsequently, we need to identify together as to the data mapping, what are the contents that should go to which section. And then simultaneously, we figure out the system integration with our tech team together. And then with this automated process of AI reading the information, structure the data, we can auto-generate the report. Right, so here's the example. So what you're seeing here is basically the very first thing is we want to make sure the data source is management, right? So the EDC would be one of the sources, and then or also the PV data sets. Right, and then right now what we're doing is basically having the system integrate these external data and then map the data points to the paths of the CRF, for example. And now this is where our end user come into play. Let's say if they want to customize some of the AI rules, we want to say we want to use subject instead of patients, as well provide examples for the input as well examples for the output. Now, in the platform here, we have structured the information. So instead of fetching the information in different systems, we have structured the content. So basically, they can review the data right here as well, the essay reports. So all these we have kept in one place to access for our end users. And for each of the study, in order to generate a narrative, there are things that are different. So we have given a customized criteria where the users can flag, maybe I just want patients with SAEs, as well maybe I need patients with AE of special interest. And then on top of the special interest, what are the actions taken for these AEs? So all of these are study-specific configuration where we allow our users to update, select, and once it's all like flagged in the system, they can basically generate the information accordingly. Right, so then whenever they generate, the AI will consume what has been taken from the data, and then based on the preference examples, generate these contents in the Word format or in the configured template. Now let's switch the gear to the data management use cases. So in our AlphaLife Sciences platform with an AI-driven innovation, as well when it's a unified platform, some of the use cases that we have applied to our end users, for example, AI-generated logic checks and test rules from the data validation plan, or the edit checks test cases, as well in the event of auto adverse event coding, we can add that. And then also, more importantly, when these data come in from the dynamic ecosystem, we need the AI to identify what are the outliers and how it can provide a better insight based on these analysis. So I'm going to be sharing with you on some of these aspects. Right, so the very first one is we understand the industry requirements of moving towards where there's guided data validation rules, for example, the FDA validator rule. And then with the complexity of these rules, as well the complexity of the study designs, now we can use the AI to generate the codes that checks and ensures the correctness of the data according to certain rules. And then let's put that in a real life situation. So about DVP, data validation plan, let's take a very simple example. So in edit check, we want the start date to be before the end date. Now, manually or traditionally, our end user have to come up with these cases to cover the dynamic dates. However, when we utilize the AI to generate these cases, we can cover the boundary values. Let's say the start and end dates are in different years, or if it covers a leap year, we can all take that into consideration. And because our system is not just document generation, but we also serve data management. So with a unified platform, having the EDC in place, when the AI generate these test cases, we can run them in the EDC with audit trail and provide a finalized test report for our users to archive or review. Okay. And the other one is once we have the adverse event data coming in for our first line users, a lot of times we find there are issues on the mix of abbreviations. different synonyms for the same terms or the mix of the terminology, and then most likely there may be spelling errors. So what we can do is have these AE terms and then pre-train our synonym model, meaning that when we apply it to the business scenario, what you see here at the bottom is that, let's say our first line users, they have entered neutral field number drop, right? And then with our pre-trained model, with the coding dictionary, the AI-powered engine can identify these errors and then have it coded according to the preferred term. So in this case, it would be neutral field count decreased based on the requirements, and that would complete the automated AE coding. Right, then the last use case to share with you is that, again, with the complexity of the clinical trial data, the multimodal data that we consume, whether it's in text, paragraphs, values, charts, or images, we can use the AI integration and then have the analysis in depth for various data formats, and then having to ingest these information. The output for our end user is that we're able to provide a visualized report, let's say for easily to identify the outliers, and how that can be utilized in the business scenario, for example, is on the data quality monitoring, right? Or detect the abnormal patterns. So, and then all this process, we value the feedback of our end users. So with that, we take the comments, the feedbacks, and continuously train and optimize the model that they are using. Okay, so lastly, to wrap up this session is that in our AlphaLife Sciences AuroraPrime platform, we manage the complexity of the prompt engineering. So meaning that in the large language model, we have templates, we have examples, we have the prompts, and then we can call up different prompt engine in that aspect. And because our team's expertise lies within this clinical trial industry, so we understand the procedures, the complexity of the data, the scheduler, and these elements act as an AI task handler, which interact with the AI agent, then to process, to program, to digest these information, and then as an end user continue to use these information, we will support the feedbacks and evolve along the way for this these kind of model to be utilized and applied to our business scenarios. So hopefully with the generative AI and then having the platform of being able to utilize the data collected, analysis, compute, and also the document generation, we can optimize the process, enhance the efficiency, and more importantly, we can thoroughly guard the quality aspect of the clinical trial.